We're glad to have you with us today. While we're waiting for others to join us, we would love to have you go into the chat and give us your name and where you're from. And others will be joining us as we do this. We'd love to know who's in the room and where you're from. So I see Susan from Boston. I see Lisa from New Hampshire. I see Ray from Boston as well. I see Shirley. Diane from Whitman. Thank you very much. Continue to do that as you enter. Please give us your name and where you're from. My name is Doug Dixon, and I'm board chair of Encore Boston Network. We help people over 50 make a difference through work, service, and social action. And we're excited to be part of the group that's bringing you this webinar today. We're extremely grateful to AARP Massachusetts and retirementjobs.com for their sponsorship of today's webinar. AAR Massachusetts is an organization that that looks out for the interests of people over 50, and we're proud to work with them. Retirementjobs.com offers information about, posts information about jobs for people over 50. So be sure to check out that website. Today's program is a collaboration of 7 organizations, all of whom believe strongly in the value of that older workers bring to the workplace, and applaud employers who prioritize the hiring of older workers and who understand the value of a multi-generational workforce. Those organizations are, in addition to Encore Boston Network, are AARP Massachusetts, Age Friendly Boston and Age Strong Boston, Age Friendly Institute, 50+ Job Seekers Networking Groups, Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and Operation ABLE. You can learn more about Encore Boston Network by going to our website, encorebostonnetwork.org. And while you're there, you'll see information about other events, both by us and also the partners that I mentioned. And you can also sign up for our monthly newsletter and join us. It's free and it's easy. Today, our focus is on work. We know that continued work is important for people over 50 because of the income, but also because work gives us meaning, creates value, and allows a continued contribution to the economy and to our society. This is the 4th Age-Friendly Employer Forum that we and our partners have held over the last year, and more than 1,000 people have signed up for these workshops, so or for these forums. So we think it's important to promote and recognize employers who commit to hiring and retaining people over 50 at a time when age discrimination is still a part of our culture and still prevalent in many organizations. So our agenda today falls into 3 sections. First, we'll hear from Sandra Harris, who is our moderator and whom I'll introduce in just a moment. She'll be joined by Kara Cohen of AARP Massachusetts and Tim Driver from the Age Friendly Institute to talk about programs that identify and help you recognize and find age-friendly employers. Next, we'll hear from our panel of 3 age-friendly employers whom Sandra will introduce. And then in the final segment, we'll open the floor to your questions. So as questions occur to you throughout the conversations that you'll be hearing, enter them into the chat function. That's what it's for. That's how we'll know what's on your mind. And do that as we go, because we will be monitoring the chat, and it might be possible for us to work some of those questions into the discussion as we go. If not, we'll get to them during this final segment of our program today. We have a large group with us, so we have a few suggestions for making the webinar go smoothly. First, this is the Zoom version of webinar, webinar version of Zoom. Sorry, I got that exactly reversed. Rather than the version of Zoom that you might be more familiar with. So what that means that everybody will be muted during the webinar, and you'll be able to see the speakers only. As I noted earlier, you can use the chat as a way to submit questions or to make comments. If you, let's see, the last thing I want to say is that this event is being recorded. We're doing that so that we can send you a copy of the recording, and you'll be able to take a look at it. That'll arrive in a few days, along with copies of the slides and other resources that are identified, including how you can reach members of the panel. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Sandra Harris, our moderator for today. Sandra is the volunteer state president of AARP Massachusetts, a position that she's held since 2019. She's the retired principal of S. Harris Interiors, an interior design firm specializing in senior living design for 21 years. Sandra is founder and co-chair of the Massachusetts Task Force to End Loneliness and Build Community, which attacks the issue of social isolation among older adults. Connected to that work, she was selected as an Encore Innovation Fellow and a member of the Commit to Connect nationwide network of champions. Sandra has worked extensively with the City of Boston Age Strong Commission and its Age Friendly Initiative, and as a member of the Age Friendly Boston Advisory Council. She is a founding member of the Boston Society of Architects Knowledge Committee on Design for Aging. That's just a few of the things that I could go on and on about, but we're not here to listen more about that. We're here to listen to information about age-friendly employers. So we're thrilled and honored to welcome Sandra as our moderator. And now over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're so happy to have you join this important and timely conversation on what organizations are doing to help older workers stay connected and competitive in this challenging job market. Over recent months, unemployment has gone down, including for older workers, but we all know that there's often a lag in the hiring or rehiring of people over 50. At the same time, this current shortage of skilled workers has forced a large number of employees to look at the experience of older workers with new interest. This growing share of employers understand the value of older workers, and they have intentionally set out to recruit and retain them in the workplace. Our purpose today is to showcase 3 of these age-friendly employers who have taken 2 specific steps to qualify for today's panel. They have signed the AARP Employer Pledge, and they qualify as a certified age-friendly employer. We begin with information about these 2 programs. Joining us to talk about their programs are Tim Driver, President of the Age Friendly Institute, and Kara Coyne, Manager of Community Outreach and Volunteer Engagement at AARP Massachusetts. Tim, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Sandra, thank you very much for that kind introduction. My name is Tim Driver. I'm delighted to be with you this morning, and I'm also delighted to see such a great turnout for this event. I'm going to say a few things about the Age Friendly Institute's CAFE program. CAFE is short for Certified Age Friendly Employer. And we can go to the next slide, and I'll give you some of the background on it. The Certified Age Friendly Employer program has been around for 15 years, and it's rooted in compensation and benefits and HR practices, and was put together by a group of people with backgrounds in those fields. We work very hard to identify these employers, and increasingly we have lots of employers applying for this designation. And the reason that they do that is because they are after people like you, who are people over the age of 50, who are looking for fulfilling work in their, retirement job section of their career, for example. And what they're looking for is a few different things. They're after this because they have a diversity program, and they want their diversity program to be comprehensive and to include age in its definition. So that's one of the drivers. Another of the drivers is that they oftentimes are looking for a person over the age of 50 because by definition, that person turns over at a much lower rate than the person under 50. And turnover can be very, very costly for employers. So it's important to recognize that by definition, as a person over 50 looking for work, you are attractive in that regard as well. This program has been very popular over the years with job seekers, also with employers, driven by some of those points I just mentioned, and also by policymakers. So that started with the United States Senate Aging Committee. The head of that committee and I went around the country showcasing employers as age-friendly by doing press conferences in front of their headquarters. And during the Obama years, that led to an invitation to the White House to work with policymakers there on how do you help older Americans stay more engaged in their communities through the workforce because of the workforce benefits of economic security, but beyond that, keeping people healthier as they get older. And by the way, if the labor force participation rate continues to go up as it is with older folks, that helps the economy and GDP. So that's another reason why employers are so gravitated to this group. I want to say it is not the majority of employers that are going after this. This is a program that really goes after the, I'll call them the vocal minority of employers that when they're into this, and we want to help you find them. So that's one of the important things about today's event is for us, along with our colleagues at ARP, to sort of show you the way to some of these employers more likely to welcome you than unfortunately to shun you, which is the case sometimes. Age discrimination in the workplace can be real. So we're here to help you, help guide you to some of the better players. Here in Massachusetts, we're very, very fortunate. Governor Baker has been a major champion of this topic and the age-friendly employer program. It's what prompted us to move this whole program a couple of years ago into a nonprofit 501c3 called the Age Friendly Institute. So we operate this program today, and as I sit before you today, it's on behalf of the Age Friendly Institute. If we can go to the next slide, Kendra, I want to also talk about some other resources available to you. Actually, before I get to that, just here's a little bit more background on sort of the standards we use. So when this program was put together, it was put together by people with backgrounds as certified compensation professionals. So it's rooted in those kinds of standards that are, the kind of standards that would be looked for by HR people. So these are, carefully scrutinized employers, and we recertify every 2 years so we can keep them learning and keep them engaged in what it means to be an age-friendly employer. So they are increasingly not only establishing benchmarks when they first get certified, but also setting targets for how they can improve over time. Next slide, please, Kendra. So retirementjobs.com is a career site for people over the age of 50. It's got hundreds of thousands of jobs across the country, ranging from gigs to volunteer to full-time jobs. There's over 1 million members nationwide, and this is a great resource to get you access not only to the lists of certified age-friendly employers, but also the lists of job postings from those employers and other employers that are looking to recruit and retain people over the age of 50. And next slide, please. And another resource available to you is agefriendly.org. So this is the flagship brand of the Age Friendly Institute, and it's a good consumer-facing destination site that includes a whole section around jobs, particularly featuring age-friendly employers. And I'm going to now hand the baton to my colleague, Kara Cohen with AARP.
Got it. All right. Thanks, Tim. That was great information. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for being with us today. I'm the manager for outreach and volunteer engagement at the AARP Massachusetts office. That's the local AARP for you all. And as you know, AARP is the largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering 50 plus and older to choose how they live as they age. And AARP works to strengthen communities, and we advocate for what matters most for families. We have a focus on health security, financial stability, and also personal fulfillment. On the advocacy front, some of our key areas of focus are lowering the cost of prescription drugs, advocating for nursing home and long-term care reform, and for financial support for caregivers. Just some examples. A critical component of our financial stability work is to ensure that the 50 plus population can continue working as long as they want to, as long as they need to. To that end, we engage with employers on the value of a multi-generational workforce and demonstrate the impact of age diversity on the bottom line. Our core initiative in this regard is the AARP Employer Pledge Program. And the program is a nationwide group of employers that stand with AARP in affirming the value of experienced workers, and they're committed to developing a diverse organization. Since its inception in 2012, the program has grown to over 1,000 members with an employee reach of over 17 million employees. And AARP works with employers to help them move beyond stereotypes about older workers towards that age-friendly workplace, a more age-inclusive workplace. These employers have been vetted by AARP, have a good rating with the Better Business Bureau over the last 3 years, and there have been no class action age discrimination suits successfully brought against them. And these companies receive regular communications from AARP, and they're encouraged to network with other pledge signers and are offered webinars regularly to bolster their support for older workers. As Sandra said, all of our panelists today are AARP employer pledge signers, and you'll hear from them about what they do to show how they value older workers, how they affirm the value of the experienced professional in their workforce. Next slide, please. Similar to what Tim described for his organization, we have a job search site where you can find all of the employers that have signed the pledge, can search by location and by industry, and then it takes you to their websites. These are all the AARP employer pledge signers. They have signed up with AARP and made the pledge that I described. Next slide, please. Okay, the job search website is for both employer pledge signers and for companies that want to list on the website. If they're an employer pledge signer, they have the employer pledge seal next to them. And they also, there's also a seal if they're searching for veterans. Another resource at aarp.org/jobs. Next slide, please. We have a new resource, which is the AARP Skills Builder for Work, and that's helping you gain these in-demand skills to stay competitive in today's job market. You can check it out. There's free resources and then some that are available at low cost. And you'll also find at aarp.org/work very of the moment articles, as you can see, things that are relevant to you at your point in your life, and helpful free resources for everybody. The next slide, please. We also offer free webinars, and these are just some examples of webinars that are available on demand and on a variety of topics. So you can see the range of topics, and they are regularly updated. So this is just currently what's up there and more to come throughout the year. Next slide, please. This is a summary of our resources and our websites, including our state website and our Twitter handle and our Facebook handle. My contact information should you want to reach out. Thank you. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Tim and Kara, for all you do to ensure that employers are committed to older workers, and especially for your sponsorship of today's program. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's panel. As mentioned before, these organizations have signed the AARP Employer Pledge and are certified age-friendly employers. They are truly walking the talk. Our panel members are Lizbeth Heyer, Vice President of Two Life Communities, Deanna Zarella, Vice President of AIS, and Dan Neary, the Senior Talent Acquisition Partner at Mass General Brigham. Welcome. Welcome, Elizabeth. Would you like to begin by telling us what you're doing at Two Life Communities?
Sure, Sandra, thank you so much. And just want to check and make sure that everyone can hear me. And just want to say good morning to everybody on the call, and a special thank you to AARP, Encore Boston, and the Age Friendly Institute for inviting me to participate in this really important conversation this morning. I work for a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to advocate and innovate so that every older adult has the opportunity to live a full life of connection and purpose in a dynamic and supportive community. It's really easy for me to express why being an age-friendly employer is not only a solid business practice, and I have to say, Tim Driver already mentioned many of the reasons why, and I absolutely concur. What I really want to emphasize is that being an age-inclusive employer is an imperative for those who care about living and working in a diverse, inclusive, respectful, and just society. To start, I thought I'd just share a small portion of Two Life's brand anthem, which I think really explains Two Life's age-friendly commitment best. And as I'm reading you some of the words, what I want to suggest is in your head. When I say live, you can replace it with work because they're really interchangeable. So for Two Life, this is where we make our stand against the exclusivity older adults face when searching for a place to live or work, and against the health consequences of loneliness. Valued older adults deserve a place to live unlike any other. We give it to them. We call our model the healing power of community, a whole different way to think about aging, embraces the proven health benefits of togetherness. It's not just game-changing, it's life-changing. Through this model, we facilitate connections so that all residents can find purpose through other people and can do so affordably. This is Two Life Communities, where joy lives, where autonomy lives, and where community lives. Because while everyone grows old, not everyone can afford to. So we do everything in our power to make sure residents have access to the warmth, respect, and joy they deserve. It's about keeping older adults in control, actively fighting for a better standard of living, and creating a safe, inclusive place for everyone. So here's to taking no half measures, to giving all to this cause, and to partnering with those who believe in it. Here's to what it takes for as long as it takes to ensure that residents at Two Life have the community and freedom they need to thrive. Here's to a new age of aging well, one that ushers in the world of possibilities and that leads us together to a healthier life for all. So this brand anthem, I think, translates really beautifully to why Two Life is an age-friendly workplace. The purpose that I get from going to work each day is extremely fulfilling, as I'm sure it is for all of you. And as a fellow boomer, the joy, perspective, and inspiration I receive from working with diverse generations, both mentoring and learning, is immense. At Two Life, where we spread the gospel about the value of aging in community, and where we develop, own, operate, and provide support services for the 1,600 low-income older adults who live with us, we need and value all kinds of experience and abilities, both professional and in life. And as an employer, honestly, what more can you ask for than the motivation and quality that comes from workers who are fulfilled? And how wonderful is it that workers with diverse skills and experience can support one another and build on each other's strengths? It's absolutely the case that 1 + 1 = 3 when it comes to creative exchange across generations. So several years ago, I was at a workshop, and I received the gift of the word gist from a speaker. And I want to give that gift to you now because I think it really applies here. The speaker shared that while young people often have quicker recall, because honestly, they have fewer life experiences to sort through in their file cabinet, it's actually the numerous and varied life's experiences of older adults that gives them gist, which is the ability to interpret and express the essence of a situation. So honestly, as an employer, why would you pass up the value that life's experiences bring to a workplace when you employ older adults? So when you're interviewing for a job or engaging in any situation and you find yourself tempted to say you're having a senior moment, or someone is doubting your value as an older worker, what I encourage you to do is celebrate your gist. And at 2Life, that's what we do as an age-friendly employer. So at 2Life, is really a place for everyone. We have a range of jobs that provide opportunities for many different skills and abilities, as well as part-time, full-time, and flexible work hours. In our real estate department, we employ project managers and construction and finance specialists. In our property management division, we employ property managers, maintenance workers, compliance specialists, marketing staff. We also provide extensive programs and services so that everyone who lives with us finds their way into community life. So we hire social workers, fitness specialists, we have event planners on staff, front desk greeters, and we have a robust dining program. So we even hire cooks and wait staff. We have a finance department, an IT department, a fundraising department. You can imagine all the possibilities for employment at 2Life. And we are also a thought leader and do state and local and federal advocacy. So if you're a community organizer or an ideas influencer, there's a place for you at 2Life. I'll close by sharing that of the 180 people approximately who work at 2Life, 37% are over 50. And they are represented at every level of our organization, from our CEO and leadership team, all the way to our maintenance department and our dining staff. 2Life has been recognized for outstanding achievement in the creation of an age-friendly workplace by the Age Friendly Foundation. And we were also recently very proud to be named among the top 100 places to work in Massachusetts by the Boston Globe. And we believe 2Life made this top 100 list because we authentically represent a people-first culture, which leads us to attracting those job seekers who complement our age-friendly culture. So again, I want to thank you for including me in this discussion this morning, and I look forward to continuing the conversation after the other panelists have spoken.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you 2Life for all the fine work that you're doing. Now, Deanna, let us know what's going on with AIS.
Absolutely. Well, I would love to say my story is going to be as exciting as Lizbeth. It's like, what a great company, but I'm excited to be here today as well too, and to be a part of this. And we're new to this organization, to these organizations. However, AIS has always been recognized. We've always recognized the value of a diverse workforce. It was interesting when I was asked to speak on this. I actually went in and looked at the demographics of our organization. So we have about 800 employees here, and we're located in central Massachusetts. We manufacture high-end office furniture, and everything is made here in the USA, ships out of this facility in Leominster, Mass. And it's about a 1 million square foot facility that we have. And of the 800 employees, when I went in and looked at demographics, we have 40% of our workforce over the age of 50. And I thought, wow. And then I just a little bit deeper, and 25% of our workforce is over the age of 60. And that's not anything that we're doing to look at the demographics. It's just what has happened naturally over the years. One of the things that we do when we look at our organization, basically our workforce comes from more than over 30 countries. And the interesting aspect of that was, in our facility, we have the flags represented out on a wall in our plant. And to me, I'm not looking at age as a separate thing, but overall, we just recognize that. And our employees speak many languages. They have a diverse set of skills with experiences working in a large variety of industries. And it's a no-brainer, common sense. When I'm looking for people, when you add those experiences to any one of the other ones that I've mentioned, it's clearly a winning combination for AIS, and we have been doing that for 30 plus years. When it comes to hiring, every employer out there knows it's not about age. It's really any innovative company. I want talented employees, and period. And in the tight labor market that we have right now, more than ever, employers need to open their eyes to the possibilities of wooing those decades of hardwired knowledge and bringing that into our workforce now. Our production teams working in the company, I mean, it reflects diversity naturally. And, you know, there may be, in some cases, a 50-year age difference between coworkers, but when you're working towards the same goal, it's amazing how those years just naturally disappear. Everybody is committed to their job and to each other, and that's what really works truly at AIS. We do have an incredibly strong culture here. And obviously we do have our commitment to this age inclusivity, and it comes straight from the top. Given, again, the current workplace challenges, it just makes more sense to tap into this valuable workers pool. So traditionally we're a manufacturing facility. So, you know, you always have shifts, and we have the traditional shifts. And 2 years ago, we decided, you know, why do we have this? It's like, we're losing a talent pool that we can't tap into. So we just said, we're going to come up with some flex time. And, you know, I've got people that want to work certain hours. We're going to find part-time jobs for them. And we've been able to expand positions over the last 2 years, about 80 people, where we normally would have just been locking ourselves into full-time positions. We've now expanded that. We're just like, why aren't we doing these hybrid work shifts? It works for everybody. But for us, I mean, I have positions everywhere, and I don't care if you can work 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, or 40 hours. I'm looking for that experience. I'm looking for people to come in that really want to be able to share and bridge the gap that we have. Again, no matter what the number of job seekers are in the market, we're always going to have opportunities here, and it could range from, I've got engineering, I have IT, we have project managers, I have finance, we have machinists, I have, you know, maintenance people, you know, people who just want to pick up some extra hours and really be able to share that knowledge with fellow coworkers. I think it just adds so much value, not only to them, but to the individuals that they're working with. And it's, for AIS, it's been an amazing opportunity. And I'm so excited to be a part of this. So thank you again for having me today.
Thank you, Deanne, and thanks to AIS. And finally, we have Dan. Dan, tell us what's going on at Mass General Brigham.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be here with everyone. This is my first forum, and just extremely happy to be here. And how Mass General Hospital specifically is who I am a recruiter for. So senior talent acquisition partner, same thing as a recruiter. And in terms of the organization that I represent, it's Mass General Brigham, formerly Partners Healthcare, just to be completely clear. And I really enjoy being on the front lines, working with the diversity of candidates that we bring on board here to MGH and Mass General Brigham as a whole every single day. So one of the organizations that we work with, that we partner with, is Operation Able. And I've been with Operation Able as kind of like a liaison for Mass General Brigham Hospital for about 13 years now. And I think that the partnership has been over 15 years. And that has created a pipeline for us, a pipeline of candidates who fit into the mature workplace. And the most amazing thing about that partnership is we would hire not only regular staff employees, but also part-time employees. We do a lot of flex time as well. And probably even more importantly is we have a temporary agency within Mass General that services the whole entire Mass General Brigham community, and that is called Bullfinch Temporary Services. So temporary employees are also allowed, which gives the worker an opportunity to sort of try before you buy, get an idea of what Mass General Brigham is all about and the jobs that we offer, maybe try a few different positions to find one that fits before they commit to a regular job. So I find that to be extremely helpful for new employees coming on board here at Mass General Hospital and Mass General Brigham. Another important thing I'd like to mention today is how we actually pay our diverse workplace, including the mature workers. And one of the philosophy, I should say, of how we pay our workers is based on experience. So Mass General not only values that experience, sort of intangibly, but tangibly as well, and how we pay. All employees come in here based on experience. So each recruiter will speak with candidates to go over their resume individually and capture their work history that might not be on their resume, because most people put on their resume what's most important or maybe valued for that particular job that they're going for. But we want to make sure we capture all their past work experience, because that might not seem important to the candidate, but we value it and it is important to us. And we count it, maybe 100%, 50%, 25%. There's no such thing as experience that goes wasted when we come up with hourly rates of pay and salary with the mature workforce. Once we get the employees here, even some of our benefits are geared specifically towards helping helping the mature workforce as well. One such benefit is our cash balance fund, which is basically similar to like a pension. For example, based on age, years of service, and salary, a formula that we use to figure out what percentage of pay or on top of the pay that you earn every year goes into this fund. And that fund is guaranteed to earn 5% interest per year. So not only is Mass General awarding employees basically free money for being here, but it's guaranteed to earn interest of 5% a year. So how is that formulated? What's the secret formula? So take me, for example. I have been with Mass General for 13 years. So if it was just based on my longevity with Mass General Brigham, the contribution would be 4%. But because they take years of service plus your age, that puts me in the 65 to 69 range, which is 9%. So whatever I earn in a year, Mass General Brigham tacks on 9%, puts it in that fund, and it's guaranteed to earn interest of 5% a year. So that benefit we feel is geared towards everyone, but with the diversity of our workplace, but also it's geared towards mature workers, because they can come on board here at any age and they can reap the benefits of that cash balance fund even more so than a younger worker who has more time for retirement. And speaking of retirement, we also offer many conferences here on a monthly basis that cover different types of topics. Again, this is across Mass General Brigham as an organization. For example, we do conferences on retirement. We do conferences on heart health, many different topics. In fact, I went to one the other day that focused on big pharma and how that affects healthcare on a day-to-day basis. So that's another area that we help mature workers here at Mass General Brigham and Mass General Hospital specifically. I think one other thing I would like to mention, because I don't want to waste too much of everyone's time, but we do truly celebrate the mature worker in yet another way. We actually have an Ether Day celebration. Ether was first used as an anesthetic in surgery here at Mass General Hospital. So we sort of have an annual, almost like a pep rally of all the diverse workers that we have here in Mass General. And we actually do shout outs to those that have been here, 5, 10, 15, all the way up to, I think the latest I've ever seen was 70 years. Someone was working here at Mass General Hospital for 70 years. It was a physician, and still has some patients that she was seeing here. So pretty incredible organization. By far and away the most diverse workplace I have ever been a part of, and was a huge reason why I came to Mass General Brigham, is because I felt that that was one aspect of my work life that was missing, was diversity. And when I got here, I was completely blown away by how diverse this workplace is. So again, really happy to be here, to be chosen as a speaker, and being as a recruiter, kind of like being able to tell all you folks about what it's like to be on the front lines and what I see every day. So hopefully that was made clear. And thank you once again, Sandra. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you to Mass General Brigham. It's just so good to hear about all the great work that's going on in our community, especially with these 3 organizations. I do have a few questions, so let's take a deeper dive. With our current economy and the ongoing impact of the pandemic, what are you currently seeing in terms of hiring? Someone like to take that one?
One of the, and this was brought up in the chat as well, so I can speak for Mass General Brigham. One of the newest challenges that we're trying to kind of face head on this year, 2022, that we're working on currently, is how we can kind of go with the times of work from home options. So of course we have, a lot of our teller centers, that work can be done now at home. So those jobs were easy to kind of move over to a work from home option. But healthcare is such a face-to-face type industry that it is, we do have to figure out ways we can be a little bit more user friendly, so to speak, to people that prefer to work from home. And hybrid roles are becoming more common. I think that's going to be what we do in 2022, is focus a little bit more on the hybrid side of things, where it's not 100% at home, but maybe 2 days a week from home or 3 days a week from home. We were transitioning into that just with the diversity of our workforce, but now it's become more important than ever, and we need to be better at that.
I'll piggyback.
I'm happy to go ahead, Deanna.
Sorry, we're fighting for the mic here. I'm gonna kind of second that as to how Dan was saying that as well too. And again, the majority of our jobs are in-person jobs. However, getting into post-pandemic at this point in time, we've really adjusted so that now we've taken probably a good 25% of the positions that you normally had to be in person. They are purely hybrid now. And it's amazing how well that's working out. And it gets back to what I had said earlier, when in the height of everything that's going on with COVID, we also recognized the need to really adjust our hours. So we started offering part-time work, which was something we had never done before. And it was amazing how many more people actually wanted to come, because it worked within their schedule, and they really didn't want to have to commit to working full time anymore. They had done that already. So this is just something to keep them out, keeps their networking going, keeps them active, keeps them in their industry that they've been in for so many years. And so that was beneficial as far as that. So we've adjusted now, so that's what we're at. So when we're hiring, we're not just hiring full time. We'll put a position out there, and it may say full time in some instances, just because given what we're hiring for, but most of the time it's something where we can adjust it and make it a hybrid schedule for individuals. And we're finding that we're opening up that to many more candidates. So the flexibility, I think, is crucial for employers out there right now.
Great.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in with, I agree with everything that was shared. And I guess what I can also just underscore is we're still really experiencing the tight labor market. Definitely the supply, of available jobs is outpacing the people looking, and we do find it hard to find workers right now. So we've instituted a lot of the same things that the other 2 panelists have talked about. We've also started providing signing bonuses, a lot more flexibility, with an eye to a hybrid approach. And, because we are a direct service provider, also really needing people to be on site. So with that in mind, and sort of in the post-COVID world, I also think employers really need to think about the safety and sort of quality of their workspace. And I know we've done an awful lot to build in COVID protocols and to really look at air quality and airflow in particular to create a safe workspace as well. So, you know, I think also having some flexibility around pay scale is really important, especially right now, because it is a competitive market out there.
Thank you. How does your company let people know that you're hiring? How are you reaching them? Deanna, would you like to start?
Sure. I mean, so we do, all of our recruiting is actually done through a system. So when we, you know, run ads, everything gets sent out to enormous amounts of links. We also have an on-site recruiter. So I've got 3 on-site recruiters here. So they tap into, you know, specific sites as well as industries, all sorts of things. So when we're reaching out to people, I'm not targeting just one particular group. There's maybe, you know, 20 sites that they're linking AIS into, so that we're able to kind of, you know, get that diversity as far as, you know, what we're looking for, and tap into not just those that are in central Massachusetts. We have people that, you know, I have designers that work throughout the country. They don't have to physically sit here. So we tap into everywhere. So, but I do have a recruiter that does that. And there's 3 of them on-site recruiters that we use, very similar to what Dan had said as well too. You know, some of them can be a temp to perm position, or it can be a direct recruiting. So there's a variety of ways in which I actually recruit, but not, you know, not specifically for one particular thing. It's open. I don't put, you know, there are some positions that there may only be, you know, like a weight restriction on, but other than that, I mean, I'm looking for anybody. If you've got a can-do attitude, we're looking to bring you in. I'll train you. I mean, you just have to have the right attitude. And, you know, I always like to say at AIS, I'm not offering a job, I'm offering a career. And in some instances, you know, some people have already had their career. So they're looking for that job. And those individuals that are looking for that job, I have it here for them as well too, because I think those experiences that they have are going to be transferable skills to those individuals that are just starting out in their career. I mean, there's so much of a value add to that when you mix those 2 together.
For sure, for sure.
Let's,
I mean, I love, I'm sorry.
Dan?
No, I just, one thing that Deanna said that really hit me pretty strongly was just the diverse worker, the mature worker has so many life experiences through work and through their personal lives that they just seem to roll with the punches more. They are not as, in terms of what they're looking for, they're not as demanding. So we find that they are flexible in their own way. And all of our recruiting here at Mass General Brigham is done in-house. And these are some of the jobs that have transitioned to work from home on a 100% basis. So, you know, there's all the recruiters that work within Mass General Brigham are assigned to a certain hospital. For example, I work on the team that is assigned to Mass General Hospital. And we do a lot of the postings. We post on our own website. We have applicants that apply directly to Mass General, or they learn about the jobs through the many sites that we post, such as Indeed. We find Indeed to be Indeed.com to be a really strong pipeline for our jobs. So I mean, that just what Deanna said hit me pretty strongly, because that is why we value the mature workforce so much. It's because of that diverse experience that they bring to the table and the roll with the punch type attitude. We love it.
Lisbeth, were you going to add anything?
You know, I think mostly to say I concur. I mean, we definitely list on our website. We actually have 16 openings right now, most of which are posted on the website, some that are coming soon. And then, of course, we use all the sort of networks, and in particular, because we have such a diverse range of employment opportunities, you know, we focus, depending on the particular industry we're advertising for, where people go to look for those jobs. So, you know, we do that. And I think we also on our website in particular, really celebrate our commitment to being an age-friendly employer. And that's something I think people on the call this morning will want to look for and utilize those networks that you're all making available to help make those matches.
Thank you. What would you suggest to people over 50 who are looking for work in this job? Are there in this job market? Do you have any special tips about training or credentials?
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly, I think, you know, again, it's basic. Use your network. I mean, over the years, I'm sure you've built a vast network. So tap into those resources. And when you're, getting back out there, emphasize your experience. I mean, don't be afraid to share it, emphasize it. It's like, you don't have to mention your age or the interviewer's age, but consider your age as the advantage rather than a downside. Remind, the hiring manager that, of that during your interview. I mean, I think that's really, really important. Describe your abilities to handle all types of situations. You've been there, you've done that. You don't have to have, a 10-page resume. I mean, again, shorten your resume and create a timeless resume. Remove the dates. Nobody needs to know when you graduated from college. I don't put it on mine. And again, you don't need to. It's like you graduated, you've been there, but share the experiences, but keeping it timeless. If you have that opportunity to have that face-to-face, be sure to explain to the interviewer why you're not overqualified. I mean, that's been a pet peeve of mine. No one's ever overqualified. I think it gets back to what I said earlier. When I'm hiring, I want the best talent possible to come through the door. So if somebody wants to come in for a position that, yeah, they may be overqualified for, no, they're not. They have the ability to take those transferable skills and share it if they're coming into work. It's like, don't look at it from that. You can certainly show your understanding of modern technology. I have a hard time doing that. I still have to have my kids do something with my phone, but share it. It's like, something's always changing technology wise. Mm-hmm. Remain active in your industry. Again, there's all sorts of webinars, there's all sorts of groups you can belong to, but it keeps you active in your industry. But again, I mean, there's lots of good opportunities out there. Share it, celebrate in all of those successes that you have and that you're able to bring to a new organization. I mean, it's amazing what that does. Those conversations are crucial.
Lisbeth, were you going to say something?
Well, it's a great list. And maybe I would just add a little more nuance to a couple points, because I agree with everything that Deanna said. When it comes to technology, I think it is important to be fluent with today's technology. So I would encourage folks to stay as current as possible and then demonstrate that fluency when you're meeting with someone. I think, sometimes and I can often do this too. You tend to joke that you're sort of behind the times as an older person with technology, and I would stay away from that and instead really lean in and stay current and really demonstrate that fluency and not to joke about it. And the other thing that Deanna mentioned, and I think it's a really nuanced issue, and I think it's really important, is how you sort of read a discussion, especially when you're interviewing with a manager who's younger than you, and how you sort of navigate a discussion in a way where you might suspect that someone thinks you're in that kind of overqualified category, and they may not bring it up directly, that they think you may be overqualified, but you might be sensing, that that's part of the discussion. And I guess in that regard, what I would suggest, and I agree, there's no need to mention your age or discuss age, and frankly, your interviewer hopefully and shouldn't bring it up. And I think in instances like that, what's really important to emphasize is that you choose to apply for a job for an organization, a company, and a particular job because it interests and motivates you. And it's really that interest and that motivation that's going to motivate the employer to want to hire you. So, I agree, there is no such thing as being overqualified. What it's about is leaning in and taking pride and joy in what you do, because that's a motivator and that leads to good performance and good outcomes. And I would focus on that, and that's why you're applying, that you chose to apply for this job because it interests and motivates you.
Dan, would you like to add anything to this?
Yes, please. And thank you so much. Mass General and plus many of the hospitals in the Mass General Brigham system, what we do is we have so many jobs available that are diverse. Mass General does everything themselves. They have a police and security team. They don't subcontract that out. They don't subcontract out their plumbers, their electricians, their HVAC. Customer service experience is key for nutrition food services because we have our own cafeteria system, so we don't even subcontract that out. And yeah, I agree with what both of the panelists said. Don't be afraid to show off your experience and for lack of a better word, and be proud of that experience. Show how that experience can apply to the job that you're applying to. So maybe do a little bit of homework when you're reading the job description. It might not be an exact match. We want you to try something new. You don't necessarily need to be qualified for that particular job. It's all the other things that you bring to the table, all the other skills that you bring to the table that make you qualified for the positions here at the hospital. But also, I think what excites managers, and maybe just some interview tips, is, emphasize the fact that you still are growing. You might be a mature worker, but you're still learning and you're still open to learning. Never go in there closed-minded because, that might be, you don't want anything to be put to your disadvantage during an interview. So show what you can bring to the table, but emphasize that you still want to grow, you still want to learn, and you still want to mature with the organization that you join.
Thank you. I know we've talked about this as you have described your programs, but before we move to questions in our chat, can you please provide a 1 or 2 sentence on why your organization value and seek out older workers? Leanne, do you look like you're ready to jump on that one? Lisbeth, I'm sorry.
Sure. I'm happy to jump in. So Two Life is a highly collaborative organization, and we really value the unique contributions made by people of all ages, from the energy and bright new ideas of younger people to the depth of knowledge, maturity, reliability, productivity. And, I love Dan's comment also about the drive to keep learning and growing. We acknowledge it can sometimes be difficult for people over 50 to find and retain jobs, but we're really committed to this. As I said earlier, it's not only a smart business move, it's really an imperative for those who care about living and working in a diverse, inclusive, and respectful society that's really just toward all.
Tiana?
Sure. So I would view this as, to me, and this may be generalizations, but from my own experience, I'm finding that mature workers, they're more proactive, positive, and practical. And when I say that, it's, I'm taking that from, because at this stage in their life, those big, most of those life challenges are behind them. Kids are out of school, big ticket money drains, they're out, so mortgages may be paid off. So there's a different mindset. And I think, a big part of it as well. And the other part that I enjoy about this, mature workers too, I think communication right now. And I think that's a lot of what we're lacking. And, when you're looking at, all of the generations that are coming into the workforce, communication, talking to one another, and that's not texting. That it shares that. I think, texting and social media is great, but we've lost that development of being able to have that one-on-one communication with individuals. And I think that right there, younger workers, they wrestle with that vital piece of workplace, requirement. And so I think, again, that helps us. It sharpens up the communication skills. And I just think, in overall, mature workers, they're just well-versed in all aspects of life. I mean, they just think they're at that, they're at this stage in their journey, and, big ego days are behind them. They're looking for an opportunity to just share everything that they've gained and don't have those pressures that they had leading up to that. So taking all of those experiences and just, helping grow, develop, and truly mentor, our workforce. I think that's vital for AIS. That's truly vital.
Yeah. Yep.
Dan?
If I was to summarize it in one or two sentences, like my panelists I mean, I would just have to say, go in with the mindset of having your competitive candidates from the younger generation keep up with you. Never go in with the mindset that you're keeping up with them. They're keeping up with you. Think of all the things you bring to the table that they don't bring to the table. I can't emphasize that enough when you go in there. Never sell yourself short. I mean, I don't mean this to be a rah-rah session, but seriously, everything that mature workers bring to the table is so much more than what the younger generation. I was part of that younger generation. Now I'm 52, and I see all the things that I've learned in my career alone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have been, if I had that mindset when I was younger, I would have been intimidated by me. You know, and that's how it should be. Make them keep up with you. That's what I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Make them keep up with you.
Okay, I see that Tim wants to come in, make a few comments. Tim?
I did. Thank you, Sandra. And I just wanted to, emphasize these comments are so fabulous to hear the panel speak like this, because this is what you'll find in the employers that are part of the AARP Employer Pledge and the CAFE program, is this, this enthusiasm for the older worker. And unfortunately, it is still not the case that that's the majority of employers. But I did want to emphasize that it is a two-way street between the older job seeker and the employer. And we're focusing a lot on, what makes an employer more age-friendly, but there are quite a number of things that can make you more attractive. And some of them have come out today, and I want to emphasize the technology piece. And I'm looking at one of the comments from Charlotte in the comments talking about, don't assume that older people don't have technology skills. But I also want to emphasize the importance that as an older job seeker, you must come to the table with enthusiasm for learning new technologies. And if you don't demonstrate that, you are out. And I see this, we talk at the Institute to hundreds of employers every year. And so they're looking for what you've heard on the panel today. If you demonstrate that you're sort of a little scared of learning how to use a new CRM or a new, application, that will, put you in a really bad spot. And we've sort of come up with this a little bit tongue-in-cheek acronym for what you don't want to do as an older job seeker, and that is to be a slungo. And a slungo stands for people who are stubborn and set in their ways, people who are still living in the 1970s, people who are unable to take direction from a younger manager, people who are not willing to stay up to date on tech, people who are grumpy and picky, and people who are overpaid and feel that they're entitled to something. So obviously that's a list of things that sometimes that's sort of obvious, but I think it's worth reinforcing because we see every day, especially that technology one. And I just wanted to sort of put an extra line underneath that one, as well as the other points in that acronym I just mentioned.
Thank you, Tim. We can now go to questions from the audience and chat. I see one question. A lot of people are concerned about automated tracking systems and their potential to screen out older workers. Can anyone comment on whether they use ATS? And if so, how they prevent this kind of exclusion?
I could say, so we use that, but there's no tracking in there for age on that. Again, it's resumes come through based on positions that they've applied for, and there's absolutely no reference to age anywhere on there. So when I see it, I'm looking at it from an applicant, and that's it.
Yep.
Anyone else want to jump in on that one?
I echo that exactly. It's not something that we look at as recruiters here at MGH. It's all about the experience that you're bringing to the table, the quality of that experience, most importantly, and how it matches up to the job. And every recruiter at Mass General Brigham we're trained to look at crossover skills. We look at someone's resume and figure out how that skill set that's brought to the table can apply to that job. And it's not always so obvious, which is why I always emphasize that you should shoot for jobs that match your skill set, not necessarily the exact career that you've had at that point of the time that you're applying to the position that you're going for here at MGH.
Okay. Lisbeth, do you want to say
Sure,
anything?
we don't use a system like that, and our HR department reviews applications much in the same way that the other two panelists talk about. We look at the holistic application and the individual and fit regardless of age.
Okay. I see another question on the media talks. I know we've touched on this, but let's see if there's something else embedded in this particular question. The media talks a lot about skills challenges. Is this a reality from your perspective? And what do you recommend for people over 50 who may be seeking ways to bring their skills up to date so they can qualify for today's openings? Is there anything else you'd like to add? We've talked a lot about skills and updating the skills. Anything else you'd like to add for that question?
Oh, sorry, you go.
Sorry, Dan, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go first, please.
I think the only thing I will say to that, I think it just gets back to keeping up to date on things. There's just, staying, and it depends, I guess, on what you're doing, like if you're in marketing, I mean, you surely should have some social media access and things like that. You need to keep up to date when I say it by those skills. But I think, to me, I mean, I would look at this like the best employees are those who just bring that mix of confidence and your expertise and you're sharing it. It's like, it's going to sound kind of corny, but I'm going to use it. It's like, from the movie Austin Powers, bring your mojo. I mean, again, it's like, just bring it. It's like, I don't, I honestly, keeping up to date, it depends, I guess, on what background you're from. If you're in engineering, you might have to keep up with certifications, CPAs, you might have to keep up with certifications, but overall, don't be afraid. You just don't want to make, like, I think when I was referring to a 10-page resume, narrow it down, think about the job you're applying to and hone in on those skills so that it matches closely with what they're looking for. You don't have to oversell yourself, don't undersell it, but focus on the skills that you're able to bring to that position that you are applying for.
I would just jump in too, and I think, of course, it depends on the particular position you're applying for. And if you want to be a prep cook, you're probably going to want some skills in that area. But I think there's a lot of jobs out there that that require sort of the sort of broader skill of kind of knitting and weaving concepts and ideas and teams and organizations and initiatives together. Think kind of project management kind of jobs, or various kind of leadership or management jobs, or even kind of team leadership opportunities. And there's, I think, many employers are looking to hire for kind of heart and commitment and aptitude, and are really open-minded about the kind of flexibility that those kinds of skills bring to any initiative or any effort. So I think, the idea of looking for positions that leverage the kind of life's experience and talent and the ability to really see the big picture and knit and weave and bring people together is something incredibly valuable. And that sort of rises above any particular skill set in a particular sector, I think, in certain jobs.
And also, just to add to that, if you feel you're short on technology in terms of your skill set, there the libraries, your local library, will be able to direct you on where you could take some courses. Many of them are free. Some of them are online. And I know one way you can kind of kill two birds with one stone is, if you're afraid or not as confident with social media, jump on YouTube and start typing things in randomly, and you'll find that you'll be able to take a whole course on Microsoft Excel just on YouTube. So not only are you learning social media with YouTube, but you're also teaching yourself new skills, a new skill that you don't know or you feel you might be weak on, that's required for a job. Once you get in the door here at Mass General Brigham, we offer many courses to keep your skills sharp. So that we will take care of you in that regard. But before you get here, give YouTube a shot. I learned more. I replaced the faucet in my house by a YouTube video. Seriously, I mean, it's crazy what you can learn online now and help and go to a family member. I you know, to get up and running again when I felt I was behind in tech, I sought out a friend that was knowledgeable in that, and that friend taught me a lot of things that I did not know and caught me up. So you know, you definitely have to do some work to teach yourself. You definitely have to go chase it a bit, but we're all used to that. We've done that all our lives. So chase it and get it.
Okay, well, another question. How do you ensure that individual hiring managers live up to the high standards that each of you have set? Some suspect that this is where age discrimination is most experienced. Anybody want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share that our HR department has an extensive training program for all of our managers at 2Life, which includes components of how you hire, how you recruit, hire, and, you know, really assess and engage with new workers. So I think, you know, a benefit of seeking employment through an age-friendly employer is that likely you're going to find a culture within the organization that really requires and supports managers to not engage in the kind of discrimination or judgment that I think is being referred to. And I think, you know, it's training that also has to survive the hiring process, but also has to really survive or really, you know, move into sustaining the workforce. And, you know, it's really at the heart of it being, you know, training people to be good managers. Which, you know, is inclusive of the entirety of from beginning to end of employment.
Yeah, a huge thing that we do at Mass General Brigham is behavioral interviewing when we're bringing in candidates. That's sort of a buzzword now in the recruiting world. It has been for a while. And behavioral interviewing, basically what that is you'll get a question from a manager that forces you to draw upon some of the work experiences that you've had in the past and how you can apply them to the job that you're going for that's at hand. So we actually train managers to celebrate that diversity through behavioral interviewing and come to recognize through their interview experiences with candidates how important this is. So behavioral interviewing is a huge thing to really keep up with if you want to be successful in your interview, job seeking, you know, just your job seeking in general, but interviews specifically.
Deanna?
I'm just going to reiterate that we train all of our managers, obviously exclusively on how to interview to avoid anything like that. And all of the hiring does come through my team. So clearly we're all well versed in that. So we avoid that completely. That's not something that I would even be concerned with here at AAS.
Okay, I think we've been able to, if not answer all the questions in chat, because some of them were linked. I think we've been able to summarize all of them. So I don't see any more new questions. I would like to thank our panelists for being with us today and for their commitment to including and supporting older workers in their respective workplace. As well, I'd like to thank all of you, our audience, for attending. We hope that we have inspired you and given you information you need to update your toolbox. So with that, back to you, Doug.
Thanks, Sandra, so much. And thanks to all of our panelists. And thanks to Kara and Tim for all of the information and the rich and enlightening discussion. I know that there probably are more questions, but if you put them into the chat, we'll try to acknowledge them in terms of the resources that we send out following the webinar today. Now, we have one last question for you. If you would enter into the chat your response to this question, did you hear anything today that will make a difference in your job search. And please let us know also any suggestions or comments that you have about the webinar. We'll be doing others of these, and we take your input and feedback very seriously in planning these events. As noted earlier, we've recorded this session, and we'll be sending you a link to the recording, as well as a copy of the chat, because there were a lot of good questions and suggestions and resources listed there. We'll also send you a copy of the slides. And so you'll have all of the links and so on that Tim and Kara provided. And we'll give you ways that you can reach out to and connect with Deanna and with Lisbeth and with Dan. As I mentioned earlier, we're sponsored today by AARP Massachusetts and retirementjobs.com. We very much appreciate their support and their collaboration in this work. Finally, a couple of other resources to call your attention to. On the Encore Boston Network website, you'll find a series of recordings of events that we did a while back called Mastering the Job Search for People Over 50. And many of the organizations that collaborated in today's webinar work together to put this series together. So you'll see lots of resources and recordings that will help to focus on elements of the job search. You'll also find a page on age-friendly employers, and that will show you a lot of information about the past webinars that we've had, including other employers, as well as numerous resources. And you'll also find information on other pages of the website about people who are, for people who are interested in career reinvention, for alternative ways to work, and for being your own boss, entrepreneurship. While you're there, sign up for our monthly newsletter, which always includes information about job search, and as well as other events that are related to job search and work. As I mentioned earlier, consider joining Encore Boston Network and become part of a community that shares your values and supports your interests. Membership, of course, is free. So with that, I want to, again, thank all of our sponsors and thank all of you, as well as the panelists today, and wish you a wonderful day. Thanks.